talked about that greatly. And in the Bible, in Revelations, it says you can't be forgiven. Well, people don't want to hear that either. Well, what faith are you? Do you have a faith in yourself? Oh, yeah, I'm the best I can be. Really? Do you know how to protect your child from energy that's affecting them? Can you heal your child? Do you want to try? Do you teach them how to heal themselves? I'm tired of doing that. I did it for myself many times. But why? I always ask, why? Why would I want to stay here? Sure, I love my partner, and I care about her more than anything. And I got a little dog I care about. If I died, I'd leave him as much money as I can. That's the best I can do. But I can't stay here forever. I don't want to, and I don't intend to. The worlds in the inner are so much greater. If you ever experience it, you wouldn't want to stay here. I mean, when people go to the astral plane, if they really have an experience and they're aware when they have a death experience, they don't want to come back. Unless they become aware why they do have to come back, it's a problem. I'm not going into that. That's complex. It's really complex, and I don't have that much time left to go into that, because I still got a couple little things I want to get into. So if we have no morals, how far can we go? While all these people out there, these speakers getting paid big bucks, are telling us everything's better. Or it will be better. When? When China destroys the world, takes over the world? What do you think is going to be better? What do you think's happening? What do you think Trump's dealing with? Such a small part of the truth. Is he telling you what China's doing? Are you watching what China's doing? Did you see how they wiped out the most spiritual place on the whole planet, Tibet? Slaughtering llamas, raping the women, and then taking it over? They're a sick race, the same as Japan slaughtering whales and dolphins and feeding them to children. Do you think there's morals involved with anything that man does? No, man has become moralless. I mean, Trump's son is a great white hunter. Bragging about killing, what was the last picture I saw of him killing a lion or something. It's just sad. That's important. I mean, if you watch Surviving in Alaska and things, these people are hunting all the time because they have to survive. But they're not ready to let go of holding on to the old days. See, we could have moved forward without moving into the technology that we created to move forward in. Hydroponic farming is incredible for land use. And we're not doing that at a great level, great scale. They are in the underground cities, but they're not doing it above ground that great. Sure, there's places here and there that are doing it, using it. I know when I went to Disneyland, Disney World, I went to both, they have this train that runs around to their organic hydroponic farm. They grow 1/3 of the fruit and vegetables that they sell there, in this little area. But they got this fence, and things are growing on the fence straight up, things on top of each other. It's just incredible. The technology's been there. And why is it the farmers are getting persecuted by the amount of money that they get paid? Farmers get paid the least out of all the most important jobs on this planet. Why is that? Because we got no morals. Well, I'd rather have a computer game that takes me into the computer rather than having a real piece of food to eat that's healthy. We don't have healthy food anymore. And that's a fact. Any fruit, any vegetable you eat has nothing valuable to it compared to what it used to have. So when we talk about technology and machines that do things, we just rip things apart and put it together the way we think it should be put together. When they built caves and made homes in caves, they didn't tear down the trees. They didn't destroy the planet at any kind of a level. They used what was there in the right way. But the amount of trees we slaughter destroys the ozone. Trump has to be aware of that. I mean, it's not like, well, whether this, that. No, you take away all our trees, we got no oxygen on the planet. Little things that go beyond common sense. I mean, it's just, this is what it is, period. But you know, man's desire is based on his limited, sick, perverted ego, twisted on his own desires for sex and gold. Two words that matter through history. Back to the beginning. The highest people always had the most gold. Why is that? Who said gold was important? It was shiny and it was pretty. I don't know how good they were mining crystals and things like that in those days. They weren't. I'm sure they were at some levels, rubies and things like that. They were important. But the technology to get them was so much harder than it is now. So, but man is ingrained with sex and gold. All that matters to a man, money and sex. What else is there to a man? Well, I have to watch football, I have to watch baseball, I have to watch hockey, I have to watch all these sports and things. 2-3 hour games here and there. But then, even on top of that, they're not satisfied. They have to do cheap thrills. High-speed racing and things like that. Anything that puts life in a danger zone. I mean, do you know, they don't talk about it. I don't know how much they covered it up or not. The word auto-asphyxiation. It was killing the majority of people a couple years ago. Mostly children and younger people. Remember the name David Carradine, Kung Fu? Well, he did it to himself and died that way. What it is, you put a rope around your neck, you strangle yourself, and you look at pictures and sexually try to get stimulated to the max, and then you kill yourself. Hold on one second, I got somebody calling in.
Hello, my friend from Hawaii. How are you doing? Is that your name, Tim, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy. I was right. This is Mike from Singapore. How are you, sir?
Greetings, fine. How are you today?
Oh, pretty good. I mean, you know, aliens. You already talk about it, and there's so many things you already talk about it. What I wanted to talk about, about it is death. Death is just beginning of a new world, beginning of the beginnings. There is no ending, and there is no beginning. What do you think of that, please?
Well, no. Soul is eternal. Let's start there. What you are, what dwells inside this physical body, is soul. Most people don't even want to relate to it as soul, because Buddha consciousness and everything, it's just a mind energy. We're all individualized entities within ourselves. We have a soul, and that's what we are, and that's who we are. When the body dies, the fingers and eyes and the feet you walk on deteriorate. Soul's standing there by itself. It doesn't need the body. Now, what I do want to say, yes, soul doesn't die. There's a few major critical things about that. If you're not aware, being eternal doesn't mean a thing if you're not an aware being. Because souls reincarnate thousands of times, hundreds of times, whatever. If they're not aware of that, the whole idea of being eternal doesn't mean a thing to them. If you can't remember all your past lives, or many of them, you don't even know you were here many times. You don't know anything about that. So that alone separates you from being aware. But when you die, and you're in a dying bed, and I had 5 death experiences, but when you're leaving the body, and you see the body there, you're still in the body. At that time, you could still be, you have an awareness which stays with soul. So here you are, you're looking at your body, you're looking at it from outside the body, and you're looking around at space where you are now. That's not the same space. So at that point, you're becoming aware, and that's self-realization. All right, understanding yourself as far as soul and what it really is. Doesn't mean anything great yet, because you're only aware of that you're not the body. But when you have a death experience, you're put back in the body. Now,
Exactly.
if you're in that same space and you're dying and you're in a car accident and your head gets cut off, all right, you're there, you look at it for a couple of seconds, and now you moved and shifted into the astral plane. There, the awareness changes because soul is active and the mind is gone. So soul's awareness is based on what it was perceived to understand, how important Earth was or how important spirit was. At that point, it's real critical if that soul is aware or not. If it's not aware, it's allowed to do a couple things on the astral plane for a while, and at least it opens soul up to that. But then it's put back down here in another body. And then at that point, because the soul wasn't aware, it doesn't retain that awareness. So all that's gone. I mean, if you're reincarnated 10 times, very few people talk about the incarnations when they went in the astral plane before they reincarnated back into this world.
Right.
And I tell you, my awareness on that is incredible. I could tell you over and over what happens, why soul stays there, what goes on when soul stays there, and those kind of things. But when we're there and we're not aware, you're like, it's a new ball game. Everything's like being shown to you, and you're trying to learn this stuff. And then it says, okay, now you got to go back to planet Earth. And then when you do, you're not aware of anything. How many souls are born on this planet aware of their past lives? Very few. Considering there's 350,000 coming to this planet every day, how many of them are aware? And it would be nice if even 25% of them were aware. But I'd say it's probably about 1 to 2%. And then it's one lifetime they remember. Which is, you need to start somewhere. Even remember that you had a past life is one step understanding what you are as soul, being eternal. Good.
Right.
You got
So
something
is
else
that
there?
possible?
Good.
Is that possible that in this world that we are, I mean, sometimes we remember things that we know it happened already, or something is familiar for you time to time.
Okay.
Or suppose, yeah,
right.
Please. Are we a parallel universe? Thank you, sir.
Well, the word is deja vu. All right, the word that the human race gave that. It's becoming aware of an experience. They usually don't understand how the experience happened, but it's usually based on an experience that you already experienced, whether it was this lifetime or any other lifetime that you had. Soul's aware of everything.
Yes.
Soul doesn't forget how it came down here, why it came here, and all that. It's just a matter of the programming that it gets pushed into. I mean, it loses its ability to communicate, and then it loses its own awareness, which is sad because soul works pretty hard to move forward, but every time it takes a step back, it's for a longer time. But what you were saying is, yes, you're driving a car. Oh, I remember this. I know if I go down this block, I'll see a store. And
right.
you go down that block.
Similar, yeah,
oh,
exactly.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's the store I saw. I just realized it was there. Or now I had a friend who explained to me his own experience, and it was about a past life. He said he was in a war, and he was in Germany or something, and he was in a battlefield with like 10 guys, and they were lost in the jungle. And all of a sudden he said he had this awareness. He said, if we go this way, which he led his army, he led his platoon that way, and he said, there's a place we can stop. And there was this little cabin, bar, and everything else, and they stopped there. And it was like, he said, I was here. And he was talking to the bartender, the guy that owned the bar as well. And he says, I have an experience. And he asked him about the house. He says, I stayed upstairs. Does it have these clips on the wall that you push the ceiling up? And he took him upstairs and showed him. So, yeah, the remembrance of things can be...
Exactly, that's what I meant. There's so many things. Suddenly, it's like a blink of an eye. Sometimes
right.
You do things and you say, oh my gosh, and it takes you deep consciousness of what? For a while. and you say, "Oh my gosh, I